Hello, everyone. Again, for the second time. Hi. So I'm back with more random ramblings about things that hopefully make sense to you guys. So this time we're moving on. We're actually on the third part of the storyteller system. So we're actually kind of skipping one part and moving on to fans. The way that the storyteller system works is we have creators, which obviously I talked to you all guys about last time. And then the next part, I guess, of the system would be actually ideas. But we're going to skip over ideas for now and we're going to move on to fans for a bunch of different reasons. The main one being fans is done and ideas is not. So it's a lot easier to show you fans because it's finished. Plus, it doesn't have to be done in a particular order. We just stuck it in the most logical order because if you're a creator, you have an idea, then you get fans behind your ideas, then you get funds for your ideas, and then you make your idea and then you send it to outlets. So that's why we have it organized the way we do, but there's nothing saying that it has to be done in that particular way. So we're about to go off a little bit and go to fans. So okay, so last time I did talk about creators, and this time we're going to actually talk about fans. So creators and fans actually share a lot in common, which is really great because we won't have to do too much explaining of just how the platform itself works. And I can explain more of how to actually um, start building fan bases instead of just how to use the platform, because it's really similar to creators, except it doesn't have the database part. It's just the network part. So although fans does integrate with the database, actually I will show you that right here so that you can see it. So what happens is if you have a creators page on the database, you can actually have this fancy little follow tab here, and there will be this neat button that allows people to join your fan team. So fans does integrate into the database, which is part of the creators. However, it is also separate. We wanted to keep it separate from creators so that creators felt like they had a place where they could talk about the ideas and share their ideas without having to worry about fans, like fans getting overly excited about an idea that really hasn't been fleshed out enough yet and it may change, or feeling, pressured to get something out faster than maybe they should get it out. So we wanted them to have a place where they communicate with themselves, with other creators. So fans and creators does kind of have this almost imaginary wall that separates the two of them, so that creators do have a space to be able to kind of pull away and be themselves and be able to work on projects without having to have fans breathing down their neck like, when is it coming out? It needs to be here. Because I know what that's like. It happens. They're just like, hey, we want the next episode, or when is your book being published? And you're like, I don't know. I'm lazy and can't get it done. Just get off my back. So anyway, yeah, there is a divide between fans and creators in that sense, but we also want them to integrate together so that you can, really interact with your fans. So the creator network and the fan site are actually pretty much the exact same. So I'm actually going to click this join button here, and that will send me over to Jacqueline S. Booth's fan page. So this is what fans looks like, which if you guys are familiar with creators and you've been spending a little time on there, you notice that it looks a lot like creators. Simple rundown here. You got this neat little button up here that will send you back to the homepage for storytellers. This neat little icon here will go to the homepage for fans. So it's pretty straightforward, like the original site was. You've got the front page here, which is kind of just a stream of everything that's been going on and random GIFs. But anyway, so it's a lot like how creators works. So this works in the same way that a timeline would on a Facebook page. It's anything that you followed. It's just a chronological order of when those posts were posted. So this one here says that the last activity on it was 6 hours ago, and then so on and so forth. So uh, it's pretty straightforward as far as that goes. But unlike creators, this is the way that you interact on this site and the way you use this site is slightly different. Where with creators, you had groups, which were basically you had like the YouTube Storytellers group, which was suggested and added just recently. And you could, chat within groups and stuff like that. And on this site, we don't have groups at all. We have what we call teams. And they're basically the equivalent of the groups, but this is where fans follow you. So, if you'll remember on creators, you had profiles, but there wasn't a lot of information there because you didn't really need your profile. You had your database page, you had your creators page. So you didn't need a lot of information on your profile. Well, that's kind of the reverse here with fans, because here in fans, people want to know a lot about you. They're your fan, they want to follow you. So your profile obviously needs to have more information on it. So we have what we call teams. And the reason we call them teams is because we think that fans are just as much as part of the creative team behind any kind of project as the people actually working on the project. Because without them, there's no point in doing what you do, because they're the ones who enjoy what you do. They're the ones who get actual benefit from what you create. So we decided to call these fan teams. So you can create a fan team for yourself as a creator. And when you create a database page, a creators page, it will automatically create you a fans team as well and link the two together so that fans can find you. And it'll send you an email outlining what you need to do to start using your fans team. But you can create a fans team for either a project, which is what we have here. There's a fan team for literal, or for a creator, which is what we have here, Gideon G. Stewart. So basically, these work a lot like the groups do in creators. What we have is basically a designated feed for this creator right here that we're part of their fan team. And if you'll look and notice, I'll click this more here so I can see all the people who are members. So if you'll look, there seems to be 4 people following G. Stewart, including Gideon Stewart himself. Such a selfish person following himself. Anyway, it's my brother, so I can talk to him about that. But so we've got these 4 people, and they're following G. Stewart. So anytime that Gideon, as a creator, post through fans, those people will be alerted of it, and they'll be like, "Oh, look, Gideon's doing something." So right here, he's actually put up like a little welcome post explaining who he is, and he does cartoons, so he's drawn this neat little cartoon of kind of what his day was like before you joined, and now what his day is like because you're a fan of his. So um I really like this cartoon. I just think it's neat. But anyway, so and then fans are allowed to be able to comment. They can add photos or links or videos to whatever you post. They also can write posts of their own within your fan team. So, um, let's say that I really like Gideon's work as a cartoonist, and I think he needs to make a graphic novel. I could write a post that, was like, "Hey man, when you doing graphic novel?" Ah, I can spell. Yeah, so I can just put a post here that's like, "Hey man, when you doing a graphic novel?" Um, and I can post it, and we will skip that because that actually does not apply right now. It's only saying that because I am an administrator. But so, they're allowed to um, ask questions or put up posts on your feed as well, and you can interact with them in that way. So, um, not only are you allowed to post things to share with your fans, but your fans can share amongst themselves or share things with you in the same way. And it's all kept on this nice, neat little page, a neat little feed thing. So, um, that is kind of a really quick rundown of just the basic idea of how fans functions. So, there's a few things that I want to run over with you guys so that you know how to sort of operate it. So, like I said, when you build your creators, now fans is designed. I'm going to step back just a little bit and give a little more of an explanation. So, fans is designed to actually be a place for creators to interact with their fans. So, it's not like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. It's not like that. Um it's very much a hmm it's very much an exclusive. It's only for people to follow creators and projects that they like. So where with on like Twitter or Facebook, um there's other things that it does as well. Like you got, your news sources on Twitter, on Facebook, you've got, your friends that you can like, and you also have pages that you can follow. You got groups that you can be part of, all that kind of stuff. This isn't like this. This strips this down to the bare bones of you've got this creator that you really like and you want a place to where you're able to just follow them and what they do. So there's not a bunch of noise with other things being involved. So if you're trying to market yourself or market your project to your fans on Facebook, you're constantly battling with everything else that shows up in their feed that's not you, because they're not there for only you. They're there for, the 6 billion other people who are on Facebook, or however many people have Facebook accounts right now. Um, so you've got to fight their news feed to try to get seen, because no one's going to immediately see your stuff when, there's 36 other posts that came up at the same time yours did. If y'all guys are frequent Facebook uh, gurus, you know that all the time that little icon at the top says 10 plus new activities. And it's like, wow, I was over there 2 seconds ago. And now there's 10 brand new ones. So when you're marketing through Facebook or something like that, it's just really hard to get above the noise. So fans has been designed to strip the noise away, to keep there from being anything else. It's only fans following creators and following projects they like. It's nothing else. It's not here for anything else. It's not here as a news source. It's not here as a place for people to build groups, about uh, local shopping malls, or it's not a place for them to build garage sale groups for whatever town they're in. It's strictly for fans to follow their creators. And because we're doing it that way, it allows you to have direct contact with your fans, and you make sure that whatever you're wanting to tell them and share with them about whatever you're doing actually reaches them, instead of getting lost in some kind of long news feed on a traditional social media site. So that was the idea behind it, and that's a lot of the reason why we separated fans and creators, is to remove some of that noise and to keep the interaction between you and your fans all confined to one place where it's real simple and easy, and you can actually get your voice out there and get whatever it is you're wanting to say to the people you want to say it to. because your fans are your audience. That's who they are. And the only reason this site isn't called audience is because that's just weird. Fans made more sense. Plus also it was 3 letters, so it fit on things a lot. Well, it's 4 letters, I guess. It's 4 letters, so it fits on like all the marketing stuff a lot better, and it can be a lot bigger, so it's more eye-catching. Um but it's really think of your fans as your audience. You're trying to tell them something. You are basically a guy on stage giving a speech, and you need to make sure that the whole room is listening to you, and they're not too distracted with the free hors d'oeuvres in the back of the room. So that's what we've built here with fans. We're trying to build a place that allows you to be able to share your ideas, share what you're excited about, share your message with your audience and with your fans in such a way that they can actually hear it. Because it's not that the fans aren't listening to you or that your audience isn't listening to you talk, it's that they can't hear you because there's so much else going on. So we're trying to take away all that noise and build a place where you can just honestly communicate with your fans. And in doing that, we've also been able to add a bunch of really great features that are exclusive to this site that really help you interact with your fans that really nowhere else offers in that kind of way. So now that I've gone on that tangent and that spill of just why I'm passionate about this site, basically, I really like this site a lot. I think it has a lot of purpose for creators, and it really helps them get a chance to just share what it is that they want to share and be heard, because that's really like a frustrating thing as a creator, is when you have something you're wanting to say, you have something you're trying to share with people, and they just can't hear you because too many other people are talking, which is, that's just the name of the game, yes. But to have a place where you're able to just talk with them, it's almost like being able to invite your audience into your house and y'all just have a quiet dinner together. That's what we're trying to create. Instead of you on the street corner with a sandwich board trying to shout as loud as you can into a megaphone to get them to hear, we're trying to build a place that's more like just having a one-on-one dinner with your audience. So that's what fans is. It's supposed to be a more intimate way of communicating with your audience instead of the more traditional big corporate people really copy and paste feeling post where they just fill in the blanks to sell their products. It's supposed to be a more personal way of communicating with your fans than that. So that's what we tried to build. And before I go on a huge tangent, I want to make sure that I haven't missed any questions. Looks like people are just saying hi. Haha. Hi, Scott. How are you? I just wanted to acknowledge you. Okay. So, yeah, we seem good. No questions. Awesome. Okay, cool. So, no questions. So, I will move on then. So, basically, what we have with fans is, like I said, just a stripped down simple thing. So, as a creator, this whole thing is aimed towards creators. So if any of you are fans out there who are wanting to know how to use the site, I'm so sorry. This isn't going to really be geared towards you. It's geared towards the creators. So as a creator, I'm going to show you how to use this site. And as I do that, I want to share some information on how to market yourself and how to build your fan base. Okay. So, um, everything that we've built into this site was built off of principles, proven principles on how to build a fan base. So, one of the biggest principles on building a fan base is to be genuine and honest with your audience. So, people like other people who feel like people. It's hard for human beings to relate to machines or to robots or to autofill emails. They relate to people. They relate to someone who speaks their own language, who they feel like knows them. This is why a lot of companies have now gone to this more personalized, common kind of way of writing Facebook posts or sending out emails. It's called common marketing, and it's not common because it's the normal way of marketing, but it's because it's supposed to be marketed towards the common man kind of deal. And it's where they talk more like a normal human being and less like an ad. One company that's been doing this a lot recently and was one of the companies who first started doing this really well was Mailchimp. They are a email marketing service that allows people to be able to send marketing emails to people. I'm sure everybody has probably gotten an email before from somebody using Mailchimp because a lot of times it'll say Mailchimp at the bottom of the email. But Mailchimp has this very sort of street talk kind of feel to how they communicate with their customers. So instead of using, uh, traditional high and mighty sounding language when they talk to their customers or they try to, even within their site themselves, when they have like buttons, instead of the button being very high and mighty, where it's like, send your email. It's instead of being like send your email, the button says send your email. It's like let's do this is the button with a thumbs up. So they're trying to make you feel like they're partnering with you instead of just you're a customer of theirs. And that's a really big thing because fans and your audience are partnering with you because you have a product or you have a message that you're trying to share and your fans are the ones who are resounding it. So they're just as much a part of what you're doing as you are. Without them, what you've done is completely meaningless because no one ever hears it. So, a big way of being able to communicate with your fans is to be real with them, to be honest with them, and to make them feel like they're part of the team because they are. And there's been kind of a movement where companies have realized that they've realized that, hey, we need customers, we need an audience, we need fans, we need to treat them as if they're part of the team because they are. And that's something that for a long time customers and fans and audiences have been wanting. And it's a really great way of reaching them. It's treating them as a person because everybody wants to be treated as a person. So um, one of the big ways is just to be honest and real with your fans. So we've built in features into fans to give you those opportunities to just kind of be open and, casual with your audience. And one of the ones that we did, which we kind of used from creators, is polls and questions. So when you are on your fan team, so we're going to go all the way back to fans here so I can show you how to use it. So homepage, you've logged into fans for the first time. You go up here to the dashboard and you scroll down and you hit teams and you go to your team. In this case, we are using Gideon Stewart's team for this demonstration. But anyway, so now you're here. This is your fan team. So when you get here, you'll see where you can post on the team. And there's this little button here that says create a poll. So what you can do is you can create a few different kinds of questions for your audience. And this is a way for you to just, be casual with them, interact with them, and really get their advice and their opinion on what you're doing. So, you can ask a question about, like, say you're a YouTuber. Hey, what'd you guys think of the most recent video? Or should I be doing more collaborations? What y'all think about if I did some unboxing videos? You're able to, ask those kinds of questions to your audience and hear their response. So you can do normal questions. You can do a multi-choice, which is, like you could say, hey, you want to see some more, would you like to see some unboxing videos? And you can actually add up to, I think it's 5. Yes, it's 5. You can add up to 5 answers. So you could put, yes, give me more now. Maybe I would like to see some of those Probably not. Definitely not. What on earth are you thinking? We don't want unboxing videos. And then they can select those and choose those. And actually, here's an example. Yes, I don't want to save that post. Here's an example of what one of those would look like. Right here, we've got one about, are you a late owl, or are you a night owl, or an early bird? And they can click on them and it'll show the percentage of the answers, and it sends you that data as well as letting the fans see it, so that they're like, oh wow, this is kind of cool, I get to see what everybody else thinks too. And that gives them a way to be able to interact, and you're able to just kind of be casual with them and make them feel like their opinion matters, because ultimately it does, because they're who you're talking to. So if the way you're speaking to them, they don't understand you, you need to learn their language. And that's what all these questions really can help you do, is learn how to talk to your audience, because that's important, because they need to be able to hear what you're saying. So you can create normal questions, multi-choice, hot or cold, which basically will give them a graph. They're able to pick cold or hot. So you can ask a question, um, how likely are you to watch a sponsored video? And they can be like, oh, cold, I'm never watching one. Or, oh yeah, I'm totally watching them sponsored videos. I don't know who's totally watching a sponsored video, but there might be. You can also do a percentage in which they're able to pick. They've got a little slider, and they're able to pick, how much of something they like. So you can go, how much do you guys like cake? 100%, 0%. And they're able to pick, oh, I like cake about 70%. So maybe that wasn't the best example of that. But anyway, that's how that works. And we built that in to give you a chance to just share with your audience, just be a normal person with them. Because the last thing you want to do as a creator is be removed from who you're talking to. The creators who do the best, and the projects that people really care about and love interacting with, and that have those strong fan bases, are the ones that they interact with, and they make them feel part of the creative process. um, this is a thing that a lot of like vloggers will do, where they will actually pull their audience into what videos they're doing. If they, happen to see one of them on their street, they'll put a little cameo of them in there. They're all the time asking their opinion on, products that they're reviewing, or they're doing fun little challenges where they're able to, maybe find a hidden object in their video. You want to engage your audience and make them feel like they're part of what you're creating, and not that you just want them to consume what you've made, because if they consume what you made, you make money. You want them to feel like you want to make something they want to consume, not that you want them to consume what you've made. So that's what these polling questions are, is to give you the chance to find how your audience is hearing what you're saying and how to talk to them better. So that's what the polls and questions are. I think they're really useful. And also, if you just type in something that ends with a question mark, it'll automatically turn it into a question where people can share answers. Like when I put, hey man, when you're doing a graphic novel, since it ended with a question mark, it automatically turned it into a question, which is nice, because people are able to click this little handy dandy question button and see all the questions that you've asked. So there's been quite a few questions that I've asked over the span of just trying to figure out this whole site and do some beta testing on it. But so that's kind of one of the first features there. And I want to make sure nobody has questions about that feature before I move on with it. So I'm going to ask Heidi, because she's kind of been paying attention to the questions and I haven't. Do we have any questions regarding that?
Nothing's come up yet.
Cool. Awesome. Well, then,
nothing yet.
If something comes up, interrupt me. If not, I'm going to continue on with the world. Okay, cool. Awesome. It's so nice to have someone be able to watch the questions. That's incredible. It's amazing. And it was Heidi's idea. She's like, you need someone to watch the questions for you. I was like, dude, I do. That would make things amazing. And then she volunteered to do it. So everybody give Heidi a big round of applause. She's doing an important job. But anyway, so off that and back onto topic. Focus. Okay. So that's the one feature there. And that's questions. And then of course you can add post where you can write anything you want. So this is like Facebook. You can just whatever you want. Show pictures of the food that you're eating. I don't really care. And you're able to embed those with photos and links and videos. This here is how you can actually live stream for your audience. So because I am not super incredibly tech savvy, the whole coding process of live streaming is way over my head. Plus, people have done it way better than I could ever probably do it because they know what they're doing. So instead of reinventing the wheel, what we've actually given you the ability to do is this neat little video button here. You can actually use it. You can put a link in that to like a pre-recorded video, and people can actually watch it just straight within your thing. So this works with all major streaming services like Vimeo and YouTube and Facebook videos, all those kinds of things. You can just put the link in and it will embed the video into your post. But this is also how you can do live videos. So you can actually take like a Facebook live video link and put it here, and then people can watch your live stream on your fan site. Or you can do the same thing with like a live YouTube video or a million other different ways of being able to stream videos live. There's several of them out there. And we've built this in a way that it works with most all of them. I actually haven't encountered a one that it didn't work with. But if somebody does find one that doesn't work with, definitely let us know so that we can make it work with that. But that's how you're able to actually do live streaming. You would, do like a live stream through your YouTube channel or through your Facebook page, and you'd post the link here, and people would be able to watch it and interact with it right here. They wouldn't have to go anywhere. They could just interact with it right here. Same thing with like a pre-recorded video. If you posted a link to a pre-recorded video here, it would actually embed it. Case in point, I'm about to create a weird, really, really weird, like time warp thing. I don't know, by putting the link for the live video that we're doing right now. So, whoops, I did that wrong. Please clear the link. Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay. By the way, just explaining this to everybody, your fans can't do this. Your fans can only do what's called a simple post, which is just blah, blah, blah text. And they can add links and videos and photos. But when you're doing a live stream, what you want to do is you want to click expand to article, which only you can do as the creator. You want to do expand to article. And this just gives you other features. It's more like a blog post versus like a Facebook post. So you can have like a title, and the video embedding for live video is actually right here by clicking this video button, and it will embed it there. So I'm about to just make a really weird thing where there's going to be this weird just duplicate of a video. So we'll post this. And anytime you post something, this is something that I think is really cool, and was one thing that when we were building this, I was like, okay, it has to have this. When you post something, now I'm sure a lot of you have dealt with Facebook before, and you probably have a Facebook page. And when you post something, it's like, ooh, wow, this is a really cool post you just posted. You want your audience to hear about it? Give us some cash and we'll make sure they do. And you're like, wait a minute, hold up. What? So yeah, basically what Facebook does is it prioritizes people over pages. So personal accounts go to the top of a news feed. pages and page posts go to the bottom. So they offer a way for you to be able to pay to have yours put up there with the personal accounts instead of with the corporate accounts at the bottom of a newsfeed. Well, we thought, well, since this is only built for fans to interact with creators, we want to make a way to make sure that if like a creator has something really important they want to share with their fans, they can make sure their fans hear about it, and it doesn't get lost somewhere in a feed. Because say there's a fan who's following 6 or 7 creators, you could potentially still have your important piece of news lost in their feed. Most likely not, but you could. Um, so we wanted to create a way where right off the bat, you can make sure that they saw whatever was important. Now, um, there will have to be some personal uh, restraint from using this tool. But every time you go to post something, it gives you this option here. It says, do you want to notify all members in your team? And you have the option to not notify or notify. If you click notify, what it does is it sends them a bing on the mobile app, it sends them a text message, and it sends them an email to make sure that they hear what you have to say. So obviously, you could do this for every post you do, but if you do it for every post you do, it will be like the boy who cried wolf, and people will stop coming. So you want to use it sparingly and use it when it's actually something that you want to make sure everybody hears about. So that would be, say you're a YouTuber and you're back and forth all week with your fans, asking them questions, talking to them about things, but you only post a video, say once a week. Well, notifying them of when you post a video, that would be something important. Once a week, hey, new video just dropped. I would notify them of that. Um, Say you're a filmmaker and you're doing like behind the scenes videos and photos and stuff, but you're also, just like interacting with your fans and, you've got some people talking with them and stuff in the thing. I think it would be appropriate to use this notify feature whenever you dropped new behind the scene pictures or when you dropped a new behind the scene video. So it's kind of that really important stuff that everyone wants to hear about, the really cool stuff, because you're going to be doing a lot of back and forth interacting with fans that isn't going to be, something that all of them want to hear about. But when you do something that they all want to hear about, you want to make sure they hear it. So that's what this notification feature is for. But nobody needs to know about this, so I'm not going to notify them of them. But this is what happens. It just embeds the video and you can see that it's live. We're watching everything that I'm doing a couple of seconds after I do it, but they're able to interact. They're able to share the video. They're able to add it to their watch later, change the quality. And of course, they can hit right here just to go to where it is on YouTube. So they're able to interact. Wow, it just keeps going on and on and on. It's kind of cool. But they're able to interact with you and your video straight through here. They don't have to go anywhere. And it works the same way if you're doing a Facebook Live as well and many other places. So that's how that works. Also, going to go ahead and tell you how to do this since I'm going to do it. If you have a post that you want to get rid of for whatever reason, these 3 little buttons here, if you hit it, you get some cool options. You can share it, which means you can actually put this post on like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, or you can copy the link or whatever. So you're able to share your post that you put up on your fan team on other social media places where, people might be following you too. So it's neat. And they're able to just click and see it. Like they don't have to be following you on fans or have an account to be able to see it. They can just see it because it's, a public way of following you. You're also able to add it to stuff. You have what's called a featured section and a welcome section. So when someone first joins your fan team, there's a welcome section, which the actual website itself will show them first. It'll show them all your welcome stuff first, which, like with Gideon's particular article that we saw in the beginning, that was one of his welcome things which is why we were seeing it first. And then you have a featured one, and that's basically posts that'll just stay at the top of the feed all the time. So if like, let's say you had rules and guidelines for how people needed to interact with each other in your fan team. I don't know. But that might be something that you wanted to use and keep at the top as a featured thing. Or say, you were a filmmaker and you had a website for your company or for the film that you were making or whatever. You might want to put a post and put it on your feature thing with the link to that website so that people could go there. Or like if you're a YouTuber, you might want to put a featured post that was whatever the newest video was that you had up. So, every week you'd be changing it to whatever the new one is, or every month or every day, however you do your thing. That way, people would be able to see, that kind of stuff. So, I like to think about it that if you believe it's necessary to hit the notify button, you probably want to also add it to your featured section, but that's up to you. But anyway, back to what I was saying, you can delete your post by doing this too. So, and yeah, you'll have to confirm that you are indeed deleting it because it goes away forever. So we want to make sure you're doing what you think you're doing. So yeah, so there you go. That's how the live stream works. And once again, that's a feature that we added in because an important part of being a creator and having a fan base is just being a person with them and being able to, because the thing is you aren't any different than them. You have creators you think are cool and you follow. You have projects and stuff that you think are neat and you follow. So you aren't any different from them. So you don't need to act different than they do. So this is a way that you're able to just be personal with them and be just like them, share live streams with them, share questions with them, see what their opinion is and stuff. So those are some features that we added in specifically for that part of building a fan base. Just, being kind of just a human being personal with your audience. So those were some of the features that we added in with that. But then obviously it's important for interaction. So another big thing is there needs to be interaction between you and your audience. So obviously this interaction doesn't have to be personal in any way, but there does need to be interaction. So we built in some things that you would expect if you've ever used social media as ways for you to interact. So we have this button that we call cheer, because Facebook has a monopoly on the word like. So we have a cheer button instead. So you have this thing called cheer. So say a fan puts up a post. In this sense, I'm putting up a fan post on Gideon Stewart's page. So he would be able to hit this little button right here, and so would any other fan, and just be like, hey, I like what you're doing, and it's a real quick way for you to interact with your fans and be involved with them. So another thing that we did is we added comments, just like you would expect, to where you're able to comment with them. You're also able to add photos and links and videos into comments, so you can even record like a funny video reply to this question, like, hey man, why aren't you doing a graphic novel? And you record like a quick video of you just wide bug eyes like you've never thought of this idea before, and post that as a little reply in the comment thing. So interaction, that's another important thing, being personal with your audience and interacting with them. So those are two features that we've added in as ways for you to interact with your audience, as well as we've also added in events. So this is where you can actually like schedule events. So right now, Gideon has no events, but you can add an event. You have a couple different kind of events that you can do. You can do what's called a local event, which is something that you host in person at a location. So you would have to put in the street address so people could get there. You have like a live chat. And what this does is it actually opens up within the platform itself at whatever specific time you it opens up a chat for all your fans to join into, and y'all can just live chat. So it's a way for you to just stay in contact with your fans and communicate with them and be involved, is just, have these neat live chats. A cool idea would be able, pick a day that you're not busy in the week for like an hour or something, or even 30 minutes, and just schedule like a reoccurring event of a live chat every Thursday at 6:30 to 7. I don't know. And, just be in contact that way. Um, you also have a couple other, you can do an online meeting, which is what we're doing here. Actually, if any of you are on the creators network, I actually used a feature very similar to this that's on the creators network to make an event for this online meeting. And you can also do one that's a live video as well. So, you can create those, and when you do that, you can put in the link for what the live video will be. So when it goes live, it'll actually show them the live video on the thing. And like I said, see, there's more than just Facebook Live and YouTube. There's Crowdcast and Zoom and a bunch of others that you can use as well. So that's a way for you to just be engaged with your audience, is through events. You can plan events. They can be live events. They can be online events for you to just be able to be engaged with your audience. And you can also plan like, a behind the scene tour event or something. I don't know. It's just a way for you to be engaged. So be personal with your audience using questions and using your polls and your questions, and then just interact with your audience through events, through the comments, through the neat little cheer button, because Facebook has a monopoly on the like button. So those are two ways to be able to just build a better fan base. The other one is, obviously, if you're going to build a fan base, people need to know that you have a fan base. So you need people to have a fan base. So we've added in some features specifically to allow you to be able to do that, to be able to invite people to your fan base. And we've conveniently called that feature Invite. And what this does is you can click it and you can put in, if somebody is already has an account on Fans, you can actually just do the @ and type in their name. So like I can do the @ and like see Jacqueline Booth has an account, so I can add her there. You can also type in people's email addresses. You just have to separate them by commas, and you can type in a personal message here and invite them to your fan team, and it'll send them a neat little email, and I have a, be part of Gideon, or be part of G Stewart's fan team, and they'll be able to click that button and join the fan team. You also have a couple other options. You can import your contacts and just invite everyone and their mother to join. You can also upload a CSV file of contacts, or you've got this nifty little link and you can just hit that copy button. It gives you a fun sound and pops up this thing down here to let you know it's been copied. And you can post that anywhere. So you can compose your own emails somewhere else. You can write it on like a Facebook post or a Twitter tweet, or, put it in the description of an Instagram photo, in which nobody would actually be able to click the link because Instagram doesn't support links for whatever reason. But you kind of get the gist, or the gist of it. Yeah, put the link in the gist. You get the gist of it. You can use this link to invite people, and when they click it, it brings them to your fan site and prompts them to join. So anyone can see your fan site, but only people who have joined your fan team are able to actually like leave comments and make posts. So anyone is able to see your fan team. So like if you wrote an article on your fan team, you could actually share that link with anybody, and anyone could go see it, but they would have to be part of your fan team to be able to comment on it. or to cheer it or to, write their own post within your fan team. So, and if they tried to do one of those things and weren't part of your fan team, it would prompt them to join your fan team. But that's what this link does is they click it, it brings them to your fan team, and then kind of pops up like a little banner that's like, hey, join G Stewart's fan team. So that's the third way. So there's or not third way, but third part of building a good fan base. So the first part is to be genuine with your audience, be real with them. Remember that they're as much a part of what you're doing as you are. They're just as much involved in what you're creating as you being the creator. Because when you create something, you want people to see it. You're doing it because you think it's something that's important to do, or you think it's something people will enjoy. And your fans are the people who take your final project and get people to see it. They watch it themselves, they share it with their friends, they pull it up and let their family watch it at weird, odd family reunions, because that always happens. Somebody always has something weird they want to show their family at a family reunion. But your fans are basically the megaphone for whatever you're saying. Without them, no one would be able to hear you in a crowded New York subway. So your fans are just as much as important in what you're saying as what you're saying, because without them, no one would hear you. So be genuine with them. Treat them as team members and not as a end goal customer for whatever you're making. So, and then the next thing is just be active. Remind them that you're alive constantly. So use those little cheer buttons. It's a great way to not have to be super invested in writing a comment or, in writing like a whole post reply to somebody, but just to acknowledge that you saw it. My personal opinion and what most people tend to agree that you should do is if somebody writes a post on your fan team, at least cheer it. Unless it's something, someone's trolling it. And I'll show you how you can handle trolls in just a little bit. But if they're not trolling it, cheer it. Because that lets them know, hey, he saw it. Or hey, she saw it, or whatever. They saw it. And it gives them, even if you weren't able to write a reply to whatever they did, acknowledge that you've seen it, because they have literally no way of knowing that you saw what they posted unless you let them know that. So be active, let them know that you're there, let them know you're reading their stuff, you like what they have to say, do events with them, just be active. So make sure they're part of your team, be real with them, be active. And then remember that you always have to be recruiting. So make sure that you're constantly letting people know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and asking them to be a part of your team in the capacity of a fan. So use that invite link, share it places. You can also, it's really neat. Fans can also hit on this and invite too. So encourage your fans to invite other people that they think might like whatever it is that you're doing. And we've actually given them some neat incentives. The more people they invite, they get these little like awards. You start out, if you invite 2 people, you're bronze. If you invite like 16 people, you're silver. And then if you invite like 20 people, you're gold. And they get cool awards for doing that. So that's a way to, help them want to bring in other people to be part of your fans team. And then, of course, you need to always be doing the same thing, recruiting, inviting people, let them know what you're doing, and that kind of stuff. So those were the 3 main theories behind how to build a fan base that this whole website has been built around. Is that you have to treat your fans as part of your team, not as a customer. They need to be people, not customers. And that you need to be constantly in interaction with them. They need to know you're there. They need to know you care. They need to know you're alive. And then the third thing is that you never need to let your fan base just simmer. It needs to always be growing. It needs to always be made bigger and larger. And there needs to always be ambassadors going out and bringing more people into your team. So that's what we built it around. And every feature was put in to serve one of those purposes. So, yeah. So anyway, there's a bunch more features here, and I'm going to run over them. But first, I want to make sure that I actually get the chance to answer questions before I go too much into anything.
Hey, Christopher, we haven't seen any questions posted yet, but I did have a question as far as I know. I did have a question posted as far as someone was having trouble at the beginning of the webinar, so
Okay.
I told them I thought this would be posted on YouTube later, but can you confirm that?
Yes, it will be.
Okay.
The
And then
recording will be.
okay. The other question I had was, will you have a webinar that like explains to fans how to use it, like from a fan standpoint, or is this just
If
gonna stick
that's
with the
something
creator?
that needs to be done, sure. I don't see why not. So, if I mean, it's really, to be honest, it's very self-explanatory. It seems like overkill to explain to fans how to use the site, but um, I could. I mean, I'm not against the idea at all. And if it's something that everybody wants, like they want fans to know how to use the site and they would like there to be a webinar that they can share with them to know how to use the site, I'm all up for doing it. I
Okay,
do
cool.
feel like it's an intuitive site so that they probably would just understand it and never watch the video. But yeah, I could for sure.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. So, I will now run over some more features. This is going so smoothly. I'm so excited. Okay. So, much like the creators page, the fan site has what we call smart search, which are search and discovery. It's kind of called both. Um, but this basically, when someone clicks up here on this fun little search bar at the top, which just remains at the top of every page, you go to somebody's account, it's going to remain at the top. You go to somebody's team, it's going to remain at the top. But this allows them to be able to search for what they're looking for. And what's really neat is, and this is where the smart comes in. If you're on the home page and you hit the search bar, it'll show you stuff for the entire site. So anything you're following on the site, it will show you stuff for it. So if you'll notice here, it's showing me the top post for the whole website, or at least for everything that I'm following on the website. And then it's showing me other members that are near me. And of course, there are no feature posts and there are no upcoming events. But then it's showing me also like the top teams that I could be a part of. And then it's showing me teams that are near my area. And then here's the little welcome section that I was telling you about. And these are the posts that, kind of introduce you as to how to use the site and that kind of stuff. So to answer the question about would there be a webinar on how to use the site, these two posts actually explain to fans how to use the site. Neither one of them are videos, they are posts, but they're there for them. And if there was a webinar on letting fans know how to use the site, we'd probably include it here too. But if you're just on the main page of the website, that search will search the whole website, which is really neat. But if you go to somebody, if you're on a fan team and you go to the search, it will search that team. So it's really neat. It kind of keeps people engaged in what you're doing. So like it's now showing me the top post for this fan team, not just not the top post for everything that I'm following on fans, but just for G Stewart's fan team. And it's showing me members within G Stewart's fan team that are near me. And it's showing me, well, of course, there's no featured post, but it's showing me the featured post for G Stewart's fan team. And it's showing me upcoming events for G Stewart's fan team. And here's that welcome post that I was telling you about earlier. It's showing that. So that's really neat. The search just adapts to, if you're on the homepage, it'll show you an overview of everything that you're following. But then if you're on a fan team, it just automatically adapts in the background. You don't even realize it does it. And it will actually search that fan team. So if I was to type in something in this search bar, like, the word happy, I don't think happy appears anywhere, but if I did type in happy, see, there's no results. It would only show me stuff for G Stewart's fan team and nothing else. So anyway, that's probably not impressive at all you, because you're like, yeah, that's just the way it should work. But it's impressive for me as one of the people who had to work with the actual code that makes that happen. So I think it's really cool that it does that. But yeah, so that's the search and discovery, which is just a really useful tool, not necessarily for creators as much as it is for fans to be able to, search and discover. So but we did want to make sure that people could find what they were looking for. So it does adapt. So people are able to only search a fan team, or they're able to, of course, search the whole site if they want. That way, it just shows them what they're looking for instead of what they're not looking for. Because it'd be really stupid if they were on your fan team and they were trying to find like an old post that you had posted. So they were trying to search for that. And instead of it showing them that, it was showing them posts from the entire website. Like, that's just very counterintuitive. So anyway, yeah. So that's search and discover. And then once again, let me go into a fans team again. You have this really neat thing. As the creator, you've got this really cool button down here that's called team settings. And you are able to do some neat stuff in here. So welcome to team settings. Here is where you can do some neat stuff. So this is probably where people are going to get confused and have questions. But basically, you have these three categories. You have team members, team content, and general settings. So let's go into general settings. So this is where you can change the name of your team. By default, this is whatever industry name you've picked for your creators page. So this will, Gideon Stewart's creators page, his industry name is G Stewart. So by default, that's what his team is. By default, all teams are public so that anyone can see and become a fan. You can make them private, which means that they can find your team, but they can only become a fan and join your team if someone has invited them. Or you can make it secret where they can't find your team, they can't be part of your team, nothing, unless somebody has invited them. So that's just kind of like up to you as to what you were doing, as to if you thought you needed a public, private, or secret group or fan team, I mean. But by default, they're all public because we're assuming you're wanting people to be able to find them. Right here, this is like the subtitle for your team. So by default, this is whatever the industry is that you've chosen when you create your creators page on the database. So he said that he was a cartoonist / director. So by default, that's what it put. This is the location of the team. So when it comes to like a personal, like a creator team, which is what we're dealing with G Stewart here, it's going to put whatever you put down as your home base location when you created your database account. And that's just so people in your area, if they're on fans, will see that, hey, look, this is a guy that's in my area who's doing cool stuff. Like, I want to follow that. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I find out, like, say, I go to a film festival and there are some filmmakers there. And, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is cool. I like these guys because they're filmmakers. It's neat. But if I find out that one of them is like local to my area, like suddenly I'm the world's largest fan of that person. I'm like, dude, this person's fantastic. So we wanted to create that here. So we put a location for where that creator is based so that people can be like, whoa, dude, this guy is like in Tennessee. I'm in Tennessee. That's cool. Like I'm following this guy. He does neat stuff and he's in Tennessee. Like, yes. So that's how that works. And you are actually able to change you can change any of this right here that I'm showing you. But you're able to change this by default. This just goes to your database page, your creators page on the database, but you can change this to anything you want. If you had a YouTube channel, you could change that to your YouTube channel. And I'll show you where all this stuff becomes important in just a little bit. And then you can put a description. By default, it takes the first 4 lines of your bio from your creators page and puts it in there. Okay, this is what I was getting to all along. Okay, I'll actually skip it and come back to it. So you can change the color scheme of your team. By default, this picks the main color and your secondary image is what it picks. I think Gideon has changed this to an orange because it would have by default picked a red. No, it probably would have picked a green, to be honest. And it picks that as your color. But if you've got some sort of brand built around you as a creator and you've got a certain color that you always use, just get that hex code, put it in here, and it will change you all the colors on your fan team to match that. So it keeps the branding consistent. Once again, you can replace your logo to whatever you want. By default, it is your profile image from your creators page. Same thing here. This by default is your cover image from your creators page. So back to what I was going for. What you can do, which Gideon has it turned off right now, but what you can do is you can open an all member chat, which basically just creates this huge chat group of everyone who is part of your fans team. So you can actually turn this on and it will turn on a chat right here in the top hand corner where people are able to actually just people within your fan team are able to talk with people in your fan team. So it's a neat way to keep in contact with them and to keep them talking amongst themselves and all that kind of stuff. So those are your general settings that you can change. Now, before I get into the other kind of settings you can change, let me explain where a lot of those become handy. Here's your subtitle. Here's your title. If you hit this right here, it has an about page. And this is where your description is. This is where that website link is. If you click that, that will go to Gideon's database page, or whatever page you choose to have it go to. So that's where a bunch of that little stuff became important. You can also hit the invite button here. This is also where you can leave a team too. And that information is here as well under the about. So yeah, so that's where that becomes important. Back to team settings. So now you have the team members section. And this is where you actually can do stuff with or involving the members of your fan team. So this right here is where you can get that link and stuff or send emails to invite people to your team. You can see the invitations that you've sent, how many people have joined, and that kind of stuff. And then you have a little tab that allows you to welcome new members. And then you have one that allows you to message all your members. So this is really neat. You're able to hit this, type a message in here, and click send, and it actually goes to all your members. Ooh, hold up. Wait a minute. I got to fix something real fast. I will be right back. Okay, we're back. So I just remembered that that was not the way it was supposed to be. Okay, so now it's fixed. Anyway, okay, so you go back here, and now you can type your message in. And if you hit send, it will go to all your members. So this is another way that you can make sure that the important information that you have goes to who you want it to go to, and people see and actually hear what you have to say. So this will actually send them like a message through the site, which I haven't showed y'all how the messages work yet, but I will get to that. Right here, you can download a list of all your members. You can do this as a CVS file, which is what you would use, like, say, since I talked about this earlier, Mailchimp. If you have like a Mailchimp account, you could download your members list and it would download all their emails, and you could upload it to a Mailchimp account so that you could send them like emails or whatever that way. But basically, that messaging feature will also send them an email too. So there's really no need for that. But if you wanted to, you have the option to be able to download all your members. Or for some reason you wanted to leave the site, but still keep all your contact with your members, and open up a site for your members someplace else or migrate to another service, you could download your members list here so that you would have that and you could be able to notify them of wherever you've moved to. And this right here will just go to the page of all the people who are members of your team. And this here, right now there are no new members, but this just gives you a neat little button that says welcome members. And when you click it, it just sends them this little, it sends them an email, and then it sends them an alert that says, hey, in this case, it would be Gideon Stewart welcomes you to his fan team. So it's just a real quick way to be involved, be active with your members. So yeah, but this little message feature, I like it a lot. I think it's useful. You just type it in, you click send, and it'll send a message to everybody. And yeah, and you can see here your total members and the total members who have been referred. And basically, that's just if a member finds your fan team of their own free will and joins and wasn't referenced from somebody else, they're just counted as a member and they're put into this number. But if somebody else referred them, they're put down here. That way, like how active you are in getting people to join your team, or how active your team is in getting people to join your team. So like if this number is really high and this one's really low, you should probably be more active in trying to reference people or refer people to your team, because, like right now, this is really nice. It means most everybody who's joined their team, Gideon has actually invited to the team. So, and that's the thing, like this goes back to being personal and just being a person and a human being with your team, with your fans. You're inviting them. So they feel like you want them to be there. You think that they're valuable to what you're doing. So this is really good because he made first contact with everybody who's in his group. He went to them and said, hey, I want you to be part of my group. And, they chose to join. So that's a really good thing there. Plus, this hasn't been live, so the fact that he has 4 people following is actually kind of impressive anyway. So that's
hey, Christopher.
Yes.
Quick thing before you move on. So we kind of had a question come in. I'll phrase it as a question. So Crystal says, not gonna lie, I keep hearing the word fan tossed around, and I'm like, fans? What fans? I have no fans. So do you have advice for someone who feels like they have no fans to even start with?
Okay, so to be honest, if you don't think you have fans, you're probably better off than most people. And this is why, because no one has fans. Like I said, the proper name for this should have been audience, but that's really long and just not very marketable. Fans is much more marketable. But think of fans this way. Fans are people who listen to what you're saying. So a fan isn't the people who wear the shirt for the newest album that you've released and scream at your concert. Fans are the people who pay attention to what you're doing, who knows when your next concert is, who shows up to it. Those are fans. So if you don't have fans, um, then you're okay. You still have an audience. If you say anything, you have an audience. And even if you don't reach your audience, you still have an audience. So right now, according to my uh, analytics, which are terrible, but right now it says that there are 3 people who are currently watching, which could be right, could be wrong. I have no idea. But anyway, it says 3 people are currently watching this webinar. So um, you guys are the audience. A lot of you probably wouldn't personally consider yourself fans of mine, but you're the audience. And when I say fans, I'm kind of referring to the audience, the people you're trying to reach. So, my advice on how to get fans is more of advice on how to make sure that your message is something that is relatable to your audience. So, the best way to get fans is to make sure that what you're saying is relevant, because people don't like to listen to garbage. That's just all there is to it. People have busy lives, they have things they're trying to do. If whatever you're trying to tell them is something that A, they feel like they already know, B, they don't need to know, or C, has no relevance to anything, then they're not going to listen. So then you lose your audience. So in getting fans and having an audience and maintaining them, the important thing is to check what you're saying, make sure that what you're doing is relevant to people. So if you are a YouTube creator, people like to laugh. That's a lot of the reason why cat videos are so popular on the internet. There is an audience who likes to just cut loose, laugh, enjoy a good evening of just stress-free laughing. So, if you're trying to reach that audience and talk to them, make sure that what you're doing connects to them. You don't want to be doing really depressing videos on the state of the economy if you're trying to reach an audience who's wanting to laugh, because no one's going to laugh at that. So make sure that what you're doing is directed towards who you're wanting to direct it to. Because when you're creating something, you're trying to reach an audience. You're not trying to create something, which is a big misunderstanding people have, is they think, oh, I want to make this thing, so I'm going to make it, and then people are going to pay attention to it or watch it or buy it or whatever. No, that's not how it works. What you do is you talk to an audience. You don't just start, just saying supercalifragilisticexpialidocious or a bunch of other gibberish like that. It's not going to work. You need to talk to your audience. You need to um, So if you're making a movie about, let's say you're making a James Bond movie, right? You don't just make a James Bond movie and assume people are going to see it. You make a James Bond movie that people want to see because you're talking to that audience. Um, and not that you need to say what they want to hear, but you need to say something that they're willing to hear. Not the best way of saying that either. Um, you need to say something they'll listen to. Let's put it that way. Um, so if you were making a James Bond movie, there's an audience for that who expects it to be a spy movie. If it was a family gets together for a Christmas movie, the James Bond audience is not going to listen to that because that's not what they're expecting. So that's the thing. When you're creating for an audience, which is why your fans are just as important as you are in the creative process, because you're making something to in some way better their lives or to help them understand or see something they never have before, which is why you really need to be involved with them to know what it is that they need you to create. So as a creator, you're really serving your fans, which is really neat because it gives you a cool opportunity to do as Christ did. You're able to serve people as a creator of content. you're serving them. So a good way to get fans is to pay attention to what people need and fill that need. Um, there was a movie called Robots. I'm sure somebody saw it. And one of the big phrases in it was see a need, fill a need. And that's the way to get fans. Look for a need, look for what people need created, and create that. You don't just create something and then try to find a fan base for it. You find something that needs creating and you create it. You find an audience that needs someone to talk to them and you speak to them. A public speaker would do no good if they just started talking about whatever they wanted to talk about. It just wouldn't work. People are hired as public speakers to talk about a specific thing. Let's say you were, hired to be a public speaker at a college graduation. That audience is needing to hear, what on earth do I do with my life now? Like that's what they're needing to hear. And if you start talking about how to build cars, or say you start talking about the first date you ever went on, it's not going to work, because that's not the audience. The audience there is needing to hear, I'm graduating. What on earth do I do in my life now? I'm totally confused. And that's what you need to do, is find an audience and what they need created and create that for them. So that's how you make fans. You don't create something and then try to find the people who want it. You find the people who need something and you provide it for them. So, which it's kind of the opposite way of how most people think of creating. Most people think, well, I'm a creator. I've got these cool ideas. I'm going to do them and find the people who enjoy what I create, which, yes, is fun and yes, works. But as a creator, you serve people. Like, that is your goal, is to serve people as a creator. So if you're serving yourself by getting fans to follow whatever it is you're creating, that's not going to make fans. That's going to just make a bunch of people mad at a selfish person, is what it's going to do. So, best way to be able to get an audience and to get fans is to find people who need to hear something and talk to them. Because that's what you're doing as a creator. Whether you're creating an audio drama, whether you're a photographer, whether you make movies, whether you make YouTube videos, whether you're an author and you write, you're finding an audience who needs to know something, who needs to feel something, and you're talking to them and you're providing that for them. So the best way to get fans is to honestly be a fan yourself. So you are a part of an audience, whatever audience it might be. So talk to yourself and you will also be talking to an audience. So the best way to get fans is honestly to be a fan, now that I think about it that way. So yeah, you don't create something and then find people who like it. You find people who need something and you create that for them, is how it works. Casey Neistat, famous vlogger. He kind of made vlogging a thing, if we're going to be honest. He saw that people wanted to get out, they wanted to travel, they wanted to be adventurous, but they couldn't, because they didn't have the funds to. They had a job that didn't allow them to be able to do that. They lived places where they couldn't travel like that, whatever the circumstance. So what he did is he created videos that allowed them to travel, to live exciting lives. And in that way, he was serving his audience, and the fans just came. They just came because he was serving his audience. So you don't create something and then try to get people to be excited about it. You serve an audience and people will become excited about it. And a lot of times what you create is something that personally is personally something that you struggle with, or that you want somebody to create for you. You end up creating it and create it for others. So, yeah, Now, if you want more practical advice as to how to get people excited about what you're doing or where to look for an audience, if you want more practical advice like that, there are some really great things. Now, it's going to depend on the medium in which you're working in. So, if you're working in films, it's going to be a little bit different than if you were working in, say, writing novels or whatnot. So, bear with me there. It will vary from audience to audience, but some really great ways to find audiences and to find fans is look for melting pots. So these are places where a lot of people gather about a lot of different topics. Social media are notorious melting pots. The United States is basically a melting pot for the world. Um, uh, Libraries, malls, they're all melting pots. It's where a bunch of people with a bunch of ideas, with a bunch of different wants, a bunch of different needs come together, and they kind of, just all sort of meld. So what you can do is find those melting pots and find the hot topic, if to use that phrase. Find the thing that seems to pop up the most, what you seem to hear the most, um, and then cater your campaign on getting fans to that. So say you go to Facebook, which is a melting pot. Facebook's really not honestly a good one because it's so much catered to you. Something more like Twitter or Instagram would probably be a little better, um, or even Google, to be honest. But let's say you go to Facebook and you see a bunch of stuff coming up about uh, sexual harassment. Let's say you see a bunch of stuff coming up about that, right? So this is an audience right here that needs someone to talk to them. So what you do is you found a melding pot that has a large concentration of a particular audience. Now you just talk to them. It's as simple as that. Speak to them. So um, melding pots are great ways of doing it. Another good way is be out there, be active, act as if you have fans if you don't. Not in a prideful way in which people think you're arrogant, where you're like, oh, I'm just as big as some big name Hollywood person and I got all these fans and they love me so much. But no, act the same way you would if you had a million fans as to if you had zero. Go out to events as if people cared that you were there. So you're a filmmaker, go to the festivals. Even if you don't have anything submitted to them, go to the festivals. Go to the local get together of filmmakers. Um, Go to the groups on Facebook that are for filmmakers. Talk about filmmaking stuff. Act as if you had a fan base that cared about what you had to say, regardless of if you do or not. Because you are a filmmaker and you are around other filmmakers and you are speaking to filmmakers in a way that filmmakers understand. So eventually you will just build a fan base. So yeah, um, the thing that I see all the time is people sitting around like, I can't go out and be active until I have fans. And I'm like, what? You'll never get fans that way. You have to go out and be active, and that's how you get fans. So, um, act as if you have fans, even if you don't. So, go to these social events, go to festivals, go to get togethers and stuff as if, you had fans that you would meet there. Even if you don't, go to them. So, those are two practical ways of doing it. Look for melding pots, look for the hot topic in the melding pots, and find that majority audience and talk to them. The other thing is act as if you have fans, even if you don't. Go to these public places, these public events for whatever it is you're interested in. Go to writing conferences if you're interested in writing novels. Um, Go to webinars about whatever topic you're interested in. There are webinars all the time about how to be a better YouTuber, or There's even like like live stream get-togethers of particular groups of people. Go to those. Like, be active in whatever particular medium it is that you want to have a fan base in, as if you had a fan base. So uh, let's take this as an example. Right now, it says 4 people are watching this. That's not what anybody would call a fan base for sure, but there is a group of people who are interested and want to know how to build a fan base. So even though I don't have a you know huge fan base that wants to know what Christopher's opinion is on building a fan base, I'm doing this webinar anyway because I am catering to the audience and speaking to them because they have questions and I'm answering those. So I didn't wait to have a big fan base before doing this. I just started doing it as if I had a fan base, even if I didn't. So that's a great way to get fans, is just act as if you have them. Not in a prideful way, not like, oh, I have so many fans that are all imaginary and in my head, but cater to the fans you want as if they're already there. Be selfless that way. Cater to them as if they're there, even if they're not. So, yeah, so that's 2 really good ways of doing it. Um, Pretend like you have fans even when you don't. Act as if you did. Talk to them, cater to them, go to events where you would meet them, all that kind of stuff. And then look for the melding pots and see what people want, like what audiences are wanting, and speak to them in that way. Um, People don't become popular by being irrelevant. People don't get fans by being irrelevant. You have to be relevant because that's what it is. You are becoming a voice that people listen to. And whatever it is that you create, you're a voice that people listen to. And if the voice they're listening to isn't talking about what they want, like what is important to them, then they don't listen to that voice. So whether you're making a movie or writing a book, they're wanting something from that voice. So make sure that you listen to them and then talk to them. If I like entitled this a webinar on how to use fans, or a webinar about building fan bases, and I started talking about how to be a rodeo cowboy, like, y'all guys would leave instantly because I'm not catering to you as an audience. So that's a good way to get fans. Find those melting pots, act as if you have fans even when you don't, and just cater to your audience. Because if you are talking about what people are trying to get information about and are wanting to hear a voice on, regardless of if you're saying what they want to hear or not, they will listen to you because they're wanting information on that. They're wanting to hear what's going on there. So, yeah, I hope that answered that question. I'm sorry, kind of went on a rabbit trail there. Um, okay, we have 30 minutes left. Is there another question that I need to address?
Nope, you are good.
Okay, cool. Neat. All right. Um, okay, I just read the comment about people creeping them out, and I do want to address this, even though it's not really a question. I'm going to address it anyway. I'm getting way off topic. Sorry. I will get back on topic, I promise. But so when it comes to people creeping you out, you if you want to create something, you can, one, create stuff that only you enjoy. So like, I can write a book and never publish it and never share it with anyone and just read it myself because I wanted to read that book and no one has wrote it. And that's fine. Like, you can do that. But if you're wanting to create stuff to share with other people, undoubtedly what's going to happen is, like, people are going to get creepy, and they'll get creepy fast. It just happens. So what you have to remember is that, one, you've probably been creepy before with your excitement on something. But two, um how do I express this? People need audiences and fans it's all human psychology. People need other people to feel like they care about them, to feel like they are valued and important. We go and watch movies in a movie theater, one, because the movie looks interesting, but two, because we are important if we watch movies. Um, that's what our culture talks about. So, like, there's say there's a big blockbuster summer blockbuster movie that's coming out. You watch that movie, one, because it's interesting sounding, but two, because you're going to be important if you watch that movie, regardless of if you realize it or not. There's a psychological thing there that, you want to be in the know, which is fine. Like, we want to connect to people, and that's how we connect to people, by watching what they watch, by talking about what they talk about, and that kind of stuff. So, the people who are most creepy are the people most looking for that. So, if someone is particularly creepy, really what it means more than anything is they're just really wanting to connect with somebody else, which is kind of odd because the creepier somebody is, the more removed everybody else gets from them. But that's really what it is they're just trying to figure out what everybody else is talking about, what everybody else likes, so that they can connect with people because they're just wanting to connect with people. And they become creepy in doing that. But that's the thing. The creepy people that you find become really the best audience and the best fans to have. You just have to work through the fact that they're creepy, because they will become not creepy as soon as someone starts connecting with them. The creepiness goes away because then they can be themselves again and not have to try to always like everything or always be following everybody so that they can get, they can feel like they're connected to people. So, yeah. Anyway, that was a long side tangent that really didn't have to be going into, but I did it anyway. Okay. So, I will go back to where I was. So, I accomplished the team members. So, now you have the team content. And this is where you can organize your welcome section and your features section, which I talked about a really long time ago. So you can hit these manage buttons and you're able to add particular posts to those sections. Um, and of course, Gideon doesn't have a featured section yet. So there's nothing that I can add there. But that's where you're able to add those. You can just click add right here, type up the post, and it'll automatically add it to it. You can also, like I showed you, once you have a post, you can use this little drop down menu here and click the add to and add it to a feature section or welcome section as well. So that is your team settings that you have access to as the manager of your fan team. So that is personal creator fan teams. So that's creator fan teams. So I want to really quick run over what would be like a project fan team. So say you had like a book or a movie or something and you wanted a fan team for that project. The particular one that I'm going to show everyone is Literal, which is a TV show. So these work basically the exact same way as creator fan teams, except they're centered around a project. So, what you can do with these that you can't really do with a creator fan team is you can actually add other people as like administrators, or uh, as like host or administrators to your team. So when you go to invite, there's this neat little option here on these project fan teams where you can actually invite them as a moderator or host to the fan team. So, um, and this is very similar to like a moderator and host on most other social media platforms. So, a host can do anything that can be done. So basically, in a creator's fan team, the creator themselves is the sole and only host, right? So, but in a project, you can have multiple people who have that power to access like the team settings and stuff. So hosts have access to the team settings and they can do all that. And since it's a project, obviously there are multiple people working on it. So you're able to have multiple people play that role. Moderators have the ability to have basically these little three buttons here where they're able to delete posts or, share or add posts to the featured section and stuff like that. They're also able to uh, approve members and stuff who join your team. They're able to welcome members to your team, where I was talking about that before, where when you have someone come in, you have the option to welcome them. They're able to do that and that sort of stuff. One thing that I didn't also cover beforehand, which once again is wielding power correctly. A lot of so the whole fans team was built to where the creators wielded the power. So you have to make sure that you're wielding your power properly and correctly and not inappropriately. But you have the power in this little button on anybody's post who posts on your fan team to be able to edit their post. And like, as you can see here, I can literally go in and delete text and delete videos and, edit whatever I want. And that's because sometimes you need to do that for one reason or the other. But once again, if you start editing everybody's post and make people say what you want them to say, no one's going to like you. No one's going to follow you. They're going to leave. But you do need that power sometimes. So we have given you that power to be able to do that if necessary, but wield it properly. So, anyway, back to this. So the main difference is the moderators, which allows you to be able to add other say if you're making a movie, it allows you to add other crew members as moderators onto the fan team, to where like when they put posts, they're allowed to notify members of them and stuff, just so larger projects and stuff can have those multiple people working on them and helping them out and stuff. You can't really do that on a creators fan team. It's just kind of you by yourself sort of deal, because it's supposed to be people communicating with you and not with a whole team of people who's pretending to be you. They're supposed to actually be talking to you. So we wanted to make sure that that's what happened. So you're not really able to add more hosts and more moderators like you can on these project teams. So that's really the big difference, is that. So let's go into the messaging features real quick before I run out of time. So you have your messaging features over here. You have a big chat for the entire fans website, where people can, anybody on the fans website can chat about anything they want. And they can add little emojis and send those. And then everybody on the entire site gets to see it. So initially, everybody's going to be like, oh, look at this. This, my friends, is a great self-promotion tool. I can just promote all my stuff right here on this chat, so that even if they're not one of my fan members, they see it anyway. Okay, that is a terrible, awful idea. All right, I can't even express how awful that idea is. Okay, one of the key things to remember when trying to build a fan base is everyone hates self-promotion. They hate it so much. And if they're not following you as one of your, team members on a fan team, then they probably, for whatever reason, don't really care about what you're doing. So the last thing they want is you to force them to have to see it. So don't do that. If you do that, you're loyal members will start leaving, to be honest, because they're like, this is not right. Like, they should not be doing that. So they'll leave. So don't use this part of the site as self promotion. Like, just don't. It's a terrible idea. Use it to be able to actually talk about relevant things to the whole, community, right? So, use it just to say, hi to the community. Be yourself, especially in this chat to the whole, thing, because you are as much of a fan of somebody else's stuff as other people are of your stuff. So be that on this chat. Be a fan. Don't don't be a self promoter. Okay. And then you have chats for the groups that you're following. So in this particular one, this is JR Gloyd's fan team, which I am also part of. I follow. So I can actually chat with everybody who's part of that fan team right here. Once again, I can add a little emoji, little happy face, tear face emoji. And everybody who's part of that team gets it. So this is where you could self promote because these people are here because they want to hear what you're saying. But it's also a place where your fans can be able to talk to other fans of you as well. And then you have personal ones, and this is like a personal one. So this is another. These are what we call direct messages. So see right here up at the top, it says you are the only member online in the JR Gloyd team. So, and then it's going to say the same thing here. You're the only one online in fans. But this here says that's a direct message to Joe. So, and then this here is another uh, group, just like this is for literal, like we were talking about. So you're also able to directly message people too. So if there was a, particular person on the site who happened to be in the same fan team as you, and it was their birthday or something, you could send them a message and say happy birthday, just to them, to say happy birthday. Like, you know, once again, it goes back to just being personal. Be a person with them. Be a cool dude that everybody likes, or a cool dudette. So yeah, so you have two kinds of messages. You have group messages and direct messages. Direct messages are to a single individual. Group messages are to an entire team. So this here that I'm in is a group message to the literal team, and this is a group message to the fan site in general. So that is the messaging feature. All right, I have 13 minutes remaining. Does anyone have any questions?
We just got a question from Ruth. Says, can you put a link to the site on the description for this webinar? Also, will this be available later?
Yes, I can. That's a brilliant idea. Why didn't I think of that? I'm gonna use my ambassador link so that I can become a gold ambassador. By the way, um, like I was explaining earlier, you can make your fans ambassadors and they get cool rewards for doing them. You can also be an ambassador yourself. And if you hit that little handy dandy invite button there in the dashboard, this link is just yours. It will generate for every person a link specific to them. So anytime anyone uses that link to join a fan team, it gives you a point. So anyway, yeah, I'm totally going to use mine so that I get points for people joining, and I can become a gold ambassador. Even though I really like don't care about the award of a gold ambassador, it's like I don't know, just having a little gold star beside my thing is just weird. I want it. So anyway, yes, but I will add the link. And the second thing is that yes, I record all these and post them so that people can watch them later. So yeah, this will be available later. And I am right now, as we're speaking, posting the link here. I will also post it in the chat. Yes, yes, I can do that. Can type at the same time. That is just one thing that I'm not. Okay. And then here, bam, in the chat, like a boss. There you go. So yes, the answer to that question is yes, I can, and I did. And I hope that made sense to you guys. Everything that I ran through. So basically, this site is built. When we built it, we sat down and thought about the psychology of groups and the psychology of people, and we built a site around that. So if you are trying to self promote, and if you are um, uh, not caring about your fans and the other people who are creators on the site literally won't work for you because it was specifically built around that psychology of that people want to feel like they're valued and that their opinion matters and that the people that they follow, the people that they're fans of, care to hear what they have to say. So if you don't care what your fans have to say, then the site just won't work for you because it's not built like that. That Facebook is built like that. Use Facebook. But if you want to hear what your fans have to say and you love communicating with them about stuff, like that's what this was built for. It was built for that. Um, and I'm not going to say what's the right or wrong way to get fans and to build a fan base, but I definitely do think that being personal with your fans and communicating with them and not being this high and mighty off in the distance person that they can never actually really communicate to, especially as small creators, is just not the right way of doing it. You need to be personal with them. You need to be someone who they feel like they can communicate with, because most likely the people who are going to be fans of you are people who want to be you. If you are an aspiring filmmaker and, say you've made a feature film before, most likely the people who are going to be fans of you are younger people than you who want to make a feature film too. And if you're just a, snob and you don't want to communicate with them, you just want them to watch your videos whenever they come out, then, chances are they're not really going to care about you because the reason that they're excited about the stuff that you make is it's like, wow, one day I want to be able to do what they do. And if they don't see you as a person to look up to, then they're not going to look up to you. Because that's what they're looking for. That's what fans are looking for. Is they're looking for most of the time people to look up to. Even if they don't want to do what that creator is doing, they're looking for someone to look up to. Um, People who are fans of, let's say the Kendrick brothers, even if they don't want to be filmmakers, like they look up to the Kendrick brothers. And if the Kendrick brothers, started doing something that, they saw was just, awfully wrong, they would probably no longer be fans of them. Because even though they don't want to be filmmakers, they want to be like the Kendrick brothers and like, just the morals and that kind of stuff and be, being personal with people and that sort of stuff. So if the Kendrick brothers started, like not paying attention to people or, started started standing for things and doing stuff that their fans didn't believe in, then the fans would leave because they look up to them and they want to be like them, even if they don't want to be a filmmaker. And that's what this whole site was built around, was that idea, that theory of how fans and how group psychology works. So um, that's the secret to making it work, is to do that. Be personal, be involved with your fans, and be active in, recruiting fans and inviting them to come in. That's how this site functions. That's how it works. The code is literally written to um to function that way. Yeah, that's the way to put it. It's literally written to function that way. So if you're not doing those kinds of things, the site just literally doesn't know what to do with you. So it just won't work. Anyway, yeah, another long tangent. Did I have another question I needed to answer? Or did I get distracted?
You just have from Crystal. She says, I enjoyed this and I like how user friendly it is. Thank you for all your hard work and taking the time to make this for us.
You're welcome. It wasn't just me though. There was way more people involved in it than just me. I just got to be the lucky person who got to do the webinars. So I kind of got the credit for it. But you're welcome. And I will let everybody else know that you appreciate all the work that they put into it too. There are people who worked on this site that I've never actually met in person before. We worked with a team who developed a thing called Mighty Network, and they helped us build a lot of this site. And they've just been amazing to work with. Them and Weebly, we've worked a lot with, and they've both just been just great teams to collaborate on and make this all possible. So I will let them all know that you appreciate what they've been able to build and create. But yes, thank you. I appreciate you sending your thanks. All right. Well then, we are 4 minutes out from an ending. I would have gone way, way over time if I did not change this to 2 hours. I'm so happy I changed it to 2 hours. So
one more question came in, Christopher.
oh,
It
sure.
is this a free site? Ruth asks, is this a free site?
Yes. Okay. So, ooh, wow, that opened a whole new can of worms that I forgot about. Yes, the site is free. And most all of the storyteller system is free as well. For now, right now, the whole thing is free. Eventually, though, there will be particular services that just because of the sheer amount of funds that it takes to operate those services, they will be premium services and they will have a fee for them. But fans, for now and for the very foreseeable future, will remain completely free. The goal is to keep it 100% free forever. So, but yes, it is a free site and everyone wants to keep it free. The only way that it would ever not be free is for some reason it just became stupid expensive to run and we had to actually charge people for it to keep it up and running. But yeah, so we're wanting it to be free so that people can use it. No one who is part of any of this storyteller stuff or of fans or creators or anything, nobody's in it to make money. They're in it to get people to make cool stuff. So we want it to be free so that people have that opportunity. But yeah, so and along that lines, I'm going to put a little plug in here. We actually have some really neat stuff that we're going to be announcing over the next couple of months. And we actually have some really cool stuff we'll be announcing just next week. So if any of you are not, if any of you are creators and are not on the network, I would totally suggest joining. I'll even put in a link to where you can join that too, because we've got some really neat stuff that's going to be coming out. Hopefully like super soon, where we've got some really neat updates for that. We had some people after we launched it, 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago that we did the webinar for it. Yeah. So 2 weeks ago we did the webinar for it and people started coming in and we had a lot of awesome suggestions that people gave us and we've implemented a bunch of them and we're going to be launching them soon. So yeah, we've got some neat stuff and some cool opportunities for you guys too. Like one of the things that we're looking at doing that I'm really debating as I'm talking as to if I should let you know about, but it's so cool. I want to. Okay, I'll let you know. One of the things that we're looking at doing is a 48-hour film festival with like some really neat awards where like the winners and stuff get on like Amazon Prime and Hulu and that kind of stuff. So that will be something that we'll be announcing later than sooner. But that's some of the cool stuff that we're bringing out really soon and trying to do. So, and of course, there's other cool stuff. So yeah, if any of you guys are creators and you're not a part of the network, I would really suggest you guys joining because there is a group of people actively trying to make things that are useful for you guys to use on that site. So I joined that. And I also have insider information that some really cool stuff's about to come out. So kind of biased, but yeah. Anyway, I'm going to send a link in the chat so y'all guys can join that. There we go. Cool. All right. So it is now 10 o'clock. So thank you guys so much for joining me yet again for some rambling. And thank you guys for using this system that so many people have spent so much time on creating. And please continue to let us know what works and what doesn't work. We want this to be something that's useful for you guys. And if there are certain things that aren't useful or certain things that don't work the way that they should, please let us know about them so that we can fix them and make them more useful to you so that they can actually be tools instead of neat ideas that didn't really work out. So, yeah, uh, we will be back not next week, but the following Sunday. We will be doing another webinar. This time we will be doing it on ideas. So we will be showing you guys how to use ideas, which is basically a pitching platform. So mark it on your calendars. It'll be same place, same time. Not this week, but the next week is when we'll be doing that. So hope to see you guys all then for that exciting new webinar. And once again, thank you guys all so much for being here and for staying and all that kind of stuff. And everybody give Heidi a big round of applause for doing the questions for us. And of course, she can't hear your applause, but you're giving it anyway. And that's what's important. So, yeah. All right. Have a great night, everybody.